Hey guys, this is Claudio Giuliano here, and I'm excited to be back with you for this new review. Today we are reviewing the 2025 Wacom Intuos Pro. We reviewed the last generation about 7 years ago now, so it's been a while since Wacom has updated the Intuos Pro line. If you are new to the channel, I'm a graphic artist, digital illustrator, and large-scale printer. I've been in the field for over 26 years now, so we're approaching this from the standpoint of the working creative professional. So I've been taking you around the hardware, and what we're getting is a really nice design. Premium build, super thin and super light. It feels like the old Wacom is back. In comparing it to the previous generation, we're getting something that strays pretty far from what that setup was like. As you can see here, this is our new setup. We get 5 hotkeys at the top and a dial. And I really like this setup. Now, if you get the medium or the large, you're going to get double this. So you get 2 sets of hotkeys and 2 dials. Okay, let's talk about the pen. Here we have the Pro Pen 3. What's really cool about the Pro Pen 3 design is the core philosophy behind it. It's set up for the user to customize. So when you get the Intuos Pro, they give you a stand which houses the extra nibs. They give you another grip, which is a more straight grip, and they give you the ability to take the buttons totally off. It allows you to set the pen up in all these different ways. So I really dig the design. If I was comparing it to the Pro Pen 2, I would say it feels like a combination of the Pro Pen 2 and the Pro Pen 2 Slim. You do lose the eraser, but the 3-button layout, in my opinion, makes up for that. The design is also metal this year, and it has another trick. If you unscrew it, you'll see here, you have the ability to change the pen's weight. You can take the weight totally out for a super light pen. You can keep it in how they have it stock set up, which has the weight more towards the tip. That's how I like it the best. You can also put the weight more towards the back of the pen, so it accommodates a lot of different feels. So I really do dig the customizations of the Pro Pen 3. I think it's really nice to have all these options. The other cool thing is, if you really want that eraser experience, the Intuos Pro is backwards compatible. So you can use it with the Pro Pen 2, and you can use it with a variety of other different Wacom pens. Now, this has to be one of the most natural feeling drawing surfaces for a digital art device that I've ever felt. It legitimately feels like paper. And unlike the previous generation from 7 years ago, which had a very rough sandpaper-like texture sheet, you're getting something that is perfection in terms of how it feels. So this is the Wacom Center, and this is going to be the hub for everything that controls the tablet. So here we have Bluetooth connectivity, your orientation. You also get some more advanced settings in the splash screen. Also, some tips and videos are built in too that you can get to. And then we have the first tab, which is the Pro Pen 3. This is where we're going to control our pen pressure. I like to keep my curve right in the center here and then adjust based on the pressure settings within a software like Clip Studio Paint. And then you can go into more advanced settings to further dial in your pressure curve. So it goes pretty deep. Now, of course, this is where we're going to set our functions for each button of the pen. And then we have our next tab, which is the express keys. Now we have 5 express keys in total. You can see how I have them set up here for Clip Studio Paint. And then we have our dial settings. And what's really cool here is you're able to toggle between 2 different functions for different workflows with the dial. For example, I have my center hotkey set to toggle the dial. And that's going to allow me to get 2 different functions out of it for different workflows. Pen mapping and display toggle is going to allow you to transfer the cursor over to another screen if you're working with a multi-monitor setup. And the mapping is going to map the active area of the tablet to the entirety of the screen. You can also back up all of your settings through the Wacom Center. Okay, let's start working on the tablet. And I want to show you some setups with the buttons first. So here you'll see I'm floating over the pen tablet and I'm scrolling left and right. So this is set to pan the canvas. And I love that I don't have to put the pen down on the tablet to just get that quick pan. Always loved this function on a Wacom device. Another one I have set to one of the pen buttons is I'm holding the pen button, I put the tip down on the screen, and I do a gesture with the tip going up and down, and that's going to quickly zoom in and out of the canvas. This is great for when I don't want to interrupt the workflow and stop and just use my one hand. I don't have to bring in my other hand for a zoom in gesture, for example, with the dial. Now, I do like to set the dial to zoom as well, but I toggle it between zoom and rotate. So you can see I'm using the dial here. Really love using the dial for rotating the canvas. I would say that's what I use it for mostly, but I do like to also toggle it between zooming the canvas in and out. You know, there's so many different workflow streamlines that you can create just with this little setup alone. I haven't fully figured out exactly how I want to have things mapped out for the long term. I'm still kind of playing around with them because there's just so many different options. But right now, this is how I have things mapped. Okay, so let's now get into drawing performance with the Pro Pen 3 and the Intuos Pro. Now, with the improvements that they made to the stock texture sheet that comes with the Intuos Pro 2025, you are going to get a really natural drawing experience. This texture sheet feels incredible. It truly feels like a piece of paper, and it is the best surface I've ever felt for a digital drawing tool. It goes beyond the feel of their etched glass that you would find on a Cintiq. So I just was blown away by how natural this feels. Of course, you're getting natural tilt with the Pro Pen 3. I find the Pro Pen 3 to be very ergonomic in the hand. It's very nice. I have the top button set to the eraser, the one closest to my thumb. So I have easy access to quickly toggle the eraser. So I didn't find having no eraser to be a problem. And as you can see here, as we render this ball out, you can see how natural the experience is. And this is with one of my custom pencils for Clip Studio Paint. And soon I'll have the entirety of the brush set packages available for Clip Studio Paint. The Real Paint Index, the Real Ink Index, and the Real Pencil Index will be available as an entire set package for Clip very soon. Okay, so now we're going to get into inking, and we are going to get into some different workflows as we ink the piece here. Of course, we're getting great initial activation force and pressure levels with the 8,000 pressure levels here, and that feels great. So as we start inking the piece here, we're going to take advantage of the various hotkeys. I'm moving the canvas around. I popped up to the dial to rotate, and this is a great streamline of workflow. The whole map out of everything I have at my disposal here makes for a workflow without interruptions. The other thing about it is the ergonomics, the way everything's placed and how everything works in unison together. They're very much focused on ergonomics for the artist. That's pretty much what Wacom specializes in. And they get that right here with the Wacom Intuos Pro 2025. From its build, from its design, from the 3 buttons on the pen, to the hotkeys, to the dial. It is all set up so you get the fastest workflow streamline along with the best ergonomics when you are working. Another thing I want to point out is we're doing this all wirelessly through Bluetooth. And as you can see here, we are still getting a very responsive experience. I haven't run into any issues with the Bluetooth dropping out or connectivity issues. Another cool thing is they provide a switch on the tablet that allows you to connect to 2 machines simultaneously. So if you had 2 machines in your studio, instead of having to always go and connect through the system settings, all you have to do is flip the switch and it'll connect to one of your other machines. The other good thing is the Wacom Intuos 2025 also gets really good battery life. So if you are traveling with the tablet, you won't have to worry about your battery draining quickly. And the last thing I want to bring up is the actual size of the Intuos Pro. This is the small version. And as you can see it here next to the MacBook Pro, it's not exactly that small. In fact, let's bring in another example. So here it is next to my very small Huion tablet. And you can see that size difference. So the small is really sitting more so at a medium size. So the medium size and the large, they're going to be pretty big. So keep that in mind when trying to choose what size to get. So in 2025, you guys have a lot of options to choose from. Wacom has competition now. And when I was coming up as a kid in the digital arts, going all the way back to some of the earliest days of the field, at 14 years old, I'm now 40, so I'm pretty much an old head. I'm Unk status, and Unk C is here to tell you that you have options. So if you're looking to save money, you can check out XP Pen, you can check out Huion, and they do make really good stuff. For example, that little Huion tablet that I showed you guys before, that thing was 20 bucks, and it actually works really good. So that exists. So you might be asking yourself, well, why would I choose a Wacom product? Well, for one, Wacom does have a line of products that is more price friendly. The Pro line is always more premium pricing, and the Intuos Pro has been the same price for almost a decade now. So that hasn't really changed. But what has changed is Wacom has seemed to find their path again. They kind of strayed off of it for a little bit. But if there was any year to get into Wacom stuff, 2025 would be a great year because they've brought back really nice design and build quality. They have a line of products that's price friendly, like the Move Ink Pad and the Move Ink Pen display. And now they just announced the 14-inch Move Ink Pad, which is also going to double as a Cintiq that you can plug into one of your other machines and use it as a regular pen display. Pretty much the modern version of the Cintiq Companion Hybrid. So like I told you guys before, this is something I bought with my own money, specifically just to review for you guys. And as I used it more, I realized I enjoyed the product so much that I had to keep it. Now, I also love having a switch up and feel. I'm drawing on screen a lot with the iPad Pro, but it's nice to have a switch up in the way I'm working. And it's nice to have that switch up in ergonomics with all the hotkeys and the dial and all the buttons on the pen. Makes for very fast workflow. And I like to keep a backup solution around, and the Intuos Pro is that solution for me. I can highly recommend this generation. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's review of the Wacom Intuos Pro 2025. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like this video, it would be great if you can share it with a friend, if you can drop a comment, drop a like. But most importantly, it would be best if you subscribe. I want to thank you again. We'll be back with more content very soon. Stay well.